It's been a distressing day for India, losing the first Test match by 227 runs. That's a massive margin, and let's not deny England any credit. I thought that they comprehensively outbatted, outbowled, and of course also in the field, India let go a few chances, especially when Joe Root and Ben Stokes were putting up that fabulous partnership, and that really cost India dear. But however, one can't take away any credit from England for this powerful, very rich performance, very encouraging performance in the larger context of their bid towards finding a place in the World Test Championship. As we know, they are in the running. And a lot of people might say, oh, but they had the benefit of the toss. Of course they did, and that can go to any captain. But how you exploit that benefit, that advantage, is really the key. Joe Root making a double century, his second in 3 Test matches. Ben Stokes pitching in with 80 plus, and then the bowlers. Look at the bowlers. Jimmy Anderson. That spell on the last day of the match was absolutely fabulous. It just completely broke India's back. And then the spinners, Leach and Bess, not as renowned as some of those playing for India or in the Indian team, doing extremely well here. Also, Jofra Archer, his first spell in the first innings was fiery and just picked up 2 wickets and exposed India's middle order, so to speak. So I think many pluses for England, very few for India. If I have to pick a few, it would be, the good form of Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli, especially coming back after the, paternity leave, which is a good sign because both these batsmen will be needed in the rest of the series. Shubman Gill, Washington Sundar and Rishabh Pant continue to impress, in fact growing in stature as batsmen. The double failures of Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane hurt India. So, 100 runs less if England had scored, these are all ifs and buts, or 100 more runs if India had scored in the first innings. The result of the match could have been a draw. But why take away credit from England? Give them what's due. From India's point of view, the outstanding performer, in my opinion, was Ravichandran Ashwin. 9 wickets in the match, a 6-wicket haul in the second innings, his 28th 5+ wickets, in a career which is becoming even more, fantastic as it goes along. And he batted also with a lot of spirit and a lot of obduracy, much needed, taking hits on his body, etc. But overall, the picture not too encouraging for India. And I think this is something that they need to think about. For instance, getting the right combinations. Look, they were hit. There's no Jadeja, so that was a blow. And then Akshar Patel, who was a like-for-like replacement in a sense for Jadeja, also injures his leg on the morning of the match or day before the match, and they're forced to play Shahbaz Nadeem, who has a forgettable match. He scores a duck in either innings, but that's not relevant. It's his bowling. He went for plenty, picked up very few wickets, took a lot of overs to get those 2 wickets and 2 wickets, and frankly that was a bit of a letdown. I thought Ishant Sharma bowled splendidly, came back smartly into the Indian team. Bumrah also bowled extremely well, especially with the older ball. But the English batsmen, they countered it effectively. And again, I must bring in Joe Root. What a majestic innings he played, that double 100. From India's point of view, so, obviously, the choice of Nadeem will be debated. Should they have played Kuldeep, who in his last Test match that he's played for India had a 5-wicket haul and he's been overlooked. Now, my point is this: if Kuldeep Yadav is not your first choice left-arm spinner, which is Jadeja, not your second choice, which is suddenly, it became Akshar Patel, who was drafted into the squad, and then not the third choice also, because Nadeem Shahbaz played this match, then what is he doing in the squad? And really that, it's an intriguing kind of question. It's a moot question to ask, and I think that this is something that the team management will be asking itself now, and the selectors. Unusually high number of no balls. I think that is something that India need to look at. 27 or 28 no balls in the first Test compared to 2 by England. That shows the lack of discipline. Perhaps the attempt to try a little more, strive harder because you want to win at home. The anxiety, the impatience, but that's not to the bowling side's credit. And this is something that the Indian coach and chief coach as well as the bowling coach will have to look into. I think also the fielding, again, in England, in Australia, I beg your pardon, a lot of these lapses got covered up because of the spectacular wins. But if you drop 2 or 3 chances, if you give a guy like a Root half a chance, or Ben Stokes, and half chances on such pitches need to be taken, because that's that's the only way to encourage the bowlers. It didn't stick. The Indians didn't feel up to the mark, so to speak. So I think that's something that India will have to focus on far harder. And then there's the form of Ajinkya Rahane. He had and Rohit Sharma, I might add, because both had double failures, and that because these guys are fantastic batsmen, and you would expect them to, if not both, at least one of them to play a big knock in one match. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, 100 runs less if England had restricted England to 100 runs less, that might have made a big difference, or scored 100 runs more in their first innings. That would have made a difference, because you consume time, you don't allow England the opportunity to declare or go for strokes and run up this big total. All these imponderables then come in. So these are things that will matter. I think really what India need to do is regroup very swiftly. They need to acknowledge, which they have done. I think Virat Kohli's press conference was very candid. He made no excuses. But this England side is rich in talent, rich in experience. There's a lot of class. I know some players like Joss Butler is going back. They're trying this rotational theory. We don't even know if James Anderson will play the next test match. But overall, the scenario is that it's a well-rounded team. The spinners are good, the fast bowlers are good, the captain is in magnificent form, and they've got deep ambition. So India need to regroup very swiftly if they're not to suffer a major setback in a home series.